So these are my color critters, little colored blobs that move around and reproduce. And I just wanted to walk you through the project a little and show you how it works. So I wanted to create something that had a ton of creatures, but the problem is that to do that, you have to keep the computational costs per creature really, really small. And that's what made me think of the color critters. They work with one simple trick. What they do is they sample a random pixel somewhere on their perimeter and they check the color of it and they decide what to do based on that. And that's it. And right now, their decisions are limited to either what direction to move or whether or not to reproduce. But even with just that, some interesting things can happen, and I think there's potential for a lot more. So here's the project. Main tab here sets up the demos. The color critter tab defines the critters. The field tab defines the environment. The functions tab does all of the color calculations. The demo control controls the demos. And then we have the demos themselves. The early demos don't involve breeding, and the breeding demos do involve breeding. So let me walk you through them. So first, the basic, just throwing some random colored critters up on screen. But the most important thing is making sure that none of them are the background color. And here's why. So now we start the moving. And the deal is, whenever they detect a background color, they keep going the direction they're going, or the random change direction. But if they detect a color that's not the background color, they move away from what they detected. And this prevents clumping. Now you can see that they're still clumping a little, but that's to be expected because they're only sampling one pixel every frame. They're not detecting everything around them, just one pixel. But overall, it does keep them from all clustering all on top of each other. So that's the purpose of this demo. And then this, well, there's a couple demos that are just accidents that happened that I thought were cool. And this is one of them, the streaking critters. And then this is another, the accidental blobs. This is the first breeding demo. This is the first thing that happened when I tried to make them breed, just explosive breeding. And I thought that was fun, so I left it in. Now this is basic mating. And this is the other thing they do. When they detect a color, they decide, whether to change moving direction or not, or they decide whether or not to reproduce. And as you can see here, they're reproducing. Every time they detect a color that is not the background color, they're having a baby. Now, so next up is the jittery breeders, which is, them moving around really fast and then breeding. The next one is where the things take a, step in complexity. So this is called narrow range breeders. And basically, the breeders now have a range within which they will breed. So basically, they have I guess it's called mating variance, right? If they encounter a color that is close enough to their color, they will mate with it. And you can set the mating variance to 1, it's 0 to 1. If you set it to 1, they'll mate with anybody. But if you set it to like 0.5 or something, or 0.05, they're going to be very picky. And that's the purpose of this demo here is the yellows won't mate with the blues, and the blues won't mate with the yellows. And that's why it's called narrow range breeders. Okay, this is tiny breeders. And I think these guys are set to breed with anybody, but they're really small and they move fast. And I think this was a population test. You can see the population shooting up there. And we get up to like 3,000, 4,000 before you notice any slowdown, which I'm kind of proud of. I think it's really cool. What are we at, 8,000? And, you can see that it's getting choppy, but it's not ridiculous. Now, this will never stop. This will just keep going until it gets ridiculously slow. Which is why the next demo, frame rate caps birth rate. So these breeders will breed up until the point that the frame rate reaches around 12, and then births will be prevented until creatures die. They have a mortality. So people will only be allowed to be born once the frame rate goes above 12. Now, there's a couple different scenarios here that happen randomly. This is one of them, and let me see if I can get another one to happen. Is this a different one? Yeah, I think this is a different one. You can see that the effect is kind of different. The other one had huge clumps, and this one has sort of smaller clumps happening. And let me see if I can get the third one. Is that the third one? I think that might be the third one. Let me see. No, 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 that's not the third one. Hold on. The way you can tell the third one is there's some that will never breed. This might be it. Now, the reason is that I found out a bug that had been happening in the breeding that's happening in every other breeding demo, which is that it detects a pixel on its perimeter and you can set the distance at which it detects it. And I had set it randomly between 1 and 3 pixels. Well, if it detected it at 1 pixel, it would often detect its own anti-aliased pixel and basically reproduce with itself. And you could tell that that's not happening here because you have some little lone creatures out there that aren't reproducing at all. So this is the first true, actual true breeding test demo. And it's kind of pretty, but I've left the other ones in because, I don't know, they're prettier. Is this one where anybody, yeah, you can tell. Every single one of them will start to have a baby that was a slightly darker color because it's, mating with its own anti-aliased color. But I think it's pretty. Anyway, there's lots of places to go from here. I think the most obvious next thing is some sort of combat system, which would be exciting. And then after that, add in some kind of like food or nutrient system, and then see if you can actually get them like fighting over resources. That would be cool. But that's all in the future. And for now, this is how the color critters work, and I think they're kind of cool for what they are. There you can see they reached their reproduction limit. The frame rate must have hit around 12. And now you won't see any of the more of those big bursts of population. Just die off here and there. New ones pop up here and there. Anyway, thanks for watching.